I say I haven't heard such a nice explain of Islam by anywhere as he has explained. I mean, it's the the depth of Islam. So I really fully understood. So now I can talk, not the against, because I just want to see the similarity. Similarity of Islam to other religions. Yeah, not like that. We have to be open minded. It's not like rigid and they practice whatever you want. You just practice. But the essence of the humanity is the same, right? The essence of the Islamic thing, help the poor, have a good intention. Just now I hear brother say, you kill the 33 people, but what is the intention is behind? Yeah, you marry a girl, but what is the intention behind the father's wealth? So we also believe the same. Suppose now I'm thinking of bad about you, so my intention of coming is gone. But I have come with a good feeling to learn something new. Means my intention is good. Doesn't matter I'm Hindu or whatever it is, but my intention is good to learn more. To go to the depth of the religion. It's not the religion, spirituality. Spirituality. That's the thing.
Is this your first time in a mosque?
Yeah, first time in this mosque. I've been to other mosques.
Overseas or in
Yes,
Singapore?
Abu Dhabi I've been. So beautiful. When I went inside, I feel so peaceful. I just pray myself. It's okay. Then I went to this in Kuala Lumpur. I've been to many mosques.
But is there any guided tour like this there?
Yes, I've been to guided tour to Geylang village. Last time I don't know, they have a breaking fast something.
Shall we go to the mosque?
Yes, sure.
What's your question?
What do you think about this whole tour?
Okay, I think it's good. It introduces the people to different cultures. It exposes us to things that we may not know before. Although in Singapore we live like as neighbors, but we do not fully understand each other. So this tour is good for have mutual understanding.
Okay. How do you feel about the whole experience here?
Yeah, it was really overwhelming for us because in Germany we experience it's all from the media, and the experience from the media is not very good. And this was the first time actually we meet some real Muslims, and we were so surprised because they're very friendly and kind people, and we really didn't expect that. And we only didn't expect that because it was all, bad news from the media back at home, but here it's different. It's so wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, the very first time to the mosque. Because in Germany it's a bit difficult to get into. You can't just go as here and be invited. They have to make a phone call before and something like that. So it's very difficult. And there are very few mosques in Germany as well. And it's always the politicians want you to feel careful about Islam, and here it's completely different.
Oh, okay.
Especially Jason, whenever he explains so much, and there are so much similarities in other religions, and absolutely. I was, as I said, I was very surprised. It's very good. I had no problem at all to take it with a hand and share with each other. Actually, it was the idea behind that is very good.
Oh, okay.
Sharing a meal and as the way the Muslim does it, and stay on from that experience. I will look with other eyes on a mosque or on a Muslim, because actually it was my first time I had real contact with Muslims. I never had it before. It was only media, and that was not real.
I really enjoyed the tour today. I mean, it opened my eyes, not just about the mosque itself, but about Islam, and it's a monument in Singapore that I know very well. I come down Northbridge Road often, so the mosque is a significant piece of Singapore architecture as well as a significant place for the Islamic people. So it's somewhere that I've always been interested to go, and I was really happy to be invited. And I thought the presentation was really very good, really informative. Jason's really clear and articulate. I think it's comforting, I guess, for Westerners to hear it from another Westerner. Obviously, him being American is interesting in this day and age, what's been going on in the world in recent times. So I found the presentation not too long. It's good length, really informative, good Q&A session. It was interesting some of the questions that people asked, which answered some of my questions as well. And then the mosque itself, really interested to see the prayer hall. It was the first time I've actually seen a prayer hall. I've been into a mosque before, but I was not allowed to see the prayer hall, so that was really interesting. And I really like the atmosphere of the place and the peace, particularly around the prayer hall, the peace and tranquility. It was something you can really experience and feel. So it's not something people can tell you about.
Yeah.
That's something that you feel in that environment, and that was very nice to be around. And then we were invited to break fast, which was also, that's the first time for me to be invited to the mosque to break fast. Really new experience, and I think again just a really wholesome experience, I guess is the word that I would use, because there's people from any walk of life, religion, belief system, sitting down together and sharing food, and I think that it's just such a strong symbol, so it's something I really enjoyed.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The food is perfect, and I think, for me, I don't eat meat, so
You don't eat meat?
I forgot you don't eat
bit of rice and
vegetable.
You're vegetarian.
So if you think about it, there are 24 hours in a day. How many hours do we eat, drink, work, sleep, watch television, and update our Twitter accounts? Can we not give 25 minutes to connect with the divine? Third is annual payment of the poor due, also called zakat. This comes from an Arabic word zaki, which means purification. There is a spiritual dimension to our wealth. Those of us who are doing well in society, we have an obligation to reach out and help our brothers and sisters. Number 4, I'll elaborate upon more in a few more slides. Fasting in the month of Ramadan, and this now is that very blessed month of Ramadan. 5, pilgrimage to Mecca once in one's lifetime, if affordable and if capable of doing so. It's not an absolute must. Like for example, if Abdul Wahab, the brother with the really nice red cap, he goes to Hajj and then he comes back, he cannot say, I'm a better Muslim. No, because it's not an obligation. But if you can, you should try to make it to Mecca. Islam recognizes and respects all the major world religions. Allah says, the Creator says in the Quran, every people was sent a messenger. And some we have mentioned to you and others we have not. So if you were to ask me, who was the prophet sent to the people of Irian Jaya, Papua New Guinea? I don't know, but I believe that they were sent a prophet. Who was the prophet sent to the people of Hokkaido, Japan? I don't know, but I do believe that they were sent someone, because God does tell us everyone has been given a chance to hear that message. So it's universal. Accordingly, we believe 124,000 prophets were sent to humanity. So this is very, very generous on behalf of the Creator. Muslims regard the major world religions, Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, as stages or links to the same original religion for humankind, submission to God's will. What do we mean by that? Actually, if you look at all these faith traditions, there's a lot of similarities and overlap between many of them, because we believe at the source, all of them are teaching surrender and submission to the divine at the source. Islam in particular is essentially an Abrahamic faith. Again, those familiar with the Judeo-Christian Islamic tradition, that it journeyed through a prophet called Jacob, and later Jacob's name was changed to Israel. It continued to travel through Moses, David, Jesus, and culminated with the coming of Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon them all. There is much in common between the Muslims, Christians, and Jews. All worship the one God. All consider themselves spiritual heirs of the Prophet Abraham. All believe in the prophets of the Tanakh, or the Christians call Old Testament. And all believe in the Torah revealed to the Prophet Moses. So this is in common between the three faith traditions here. In particular, when it becomes between Muslims and Christians, Muslims believe that in Prophet Jesus, that he is the Christ. Greek Christos, Hebrew Mashiach, Arabic Messiah, that he is the Messiah, born to the Virgin Mary. We believe in his miracles that he performed, and we believe that Jesus will return at the end of time to fight the Antichrist, and we recognize as sacred the good news, or also called the Evangel. Now this was during a dialogue where His Holiness, Pope John Paul, may God have mercy on him, stated in the Catechism of the Catholic Church in 841, "Together with us, they the Muslims adore the one merciful God." So the Holy Father is saying here that the Christians and the Muslims are adoring the one merciful God. Virgin Mary in the headscarf. Oftentimes you will see the Muslim ladies wearing this. You know, recently in Italy, they wanted to ban the Muslim woman from wearing the headscarf. But the Italian Prime Minister said, how can I ban the Muslim women from wearing the headscarf when in every church in Italy, the mother of Jesus, the Madonna, is covering her hair? So when I heard that, I was like, yes, he's my favorite person. So we see this as a symbol of motherhood, of hope, of dignity, of honor. We do not see it as a symbol of oppression. And in fact, there is a statement in the New Testament that teaches that women should also cover their heads. And in fact, in the United States, there is a community of believers called the Amish, as well as the Mennonites, who understand that practice as such, that this is not just for women who are consecrated or nuns, but ladies in general should cover the hair. Now, I thought this was also interesting to share for those of you coming from the Judeo-Christian tradition. In the Tanakh or Old Testament, we read that Moses and Aaron fell on their faces. And then it says they fell on their faces and prayed. And Abraham fell on his face and prayed. And he, Jesus, went a little further and he fell on his face and prayed. Now, I always thought that this translation was a bit odd, because it gives the impression that a person is walking and they just fell on their face. And this is not what it's really trying to say. The Greek word proskineo means to prostrate. This is what that means. To take one's face and to do this. And Jesus went a little further, and then he went on his face and bowed his face to the ground. So when you see Muslims doing this particular position, we are only following the prayer as was done by the Prophet Jesus, by the Prophet Abraham, by the Prophet Moses. Peace and blessings be upon them. The Muslim diet. Muslims eat only what we deem to be halal. Anything that's not clean or harmful to the physical or spiritual health or clouding the mind. Most people think that Muslims just don't eat pork, that's it. But actually Muslims are not allowed to eat the flesh of rats, monkeys, cats, dogs, or snakes. These are also forbidden to us. It's not on our diet. Number 3, animals slaughtered in the Islamic way. What does it mean to make an animal halal, or what makes it halal? Muslims believe the very least courtesy that is due that creature, when you take its life, you take its life with the name of God. Bismillah. And as much blood as possible is released from that animal. Blood also contains a lot of antibodies in it that's not good for the human immune system. Number 4, so I've elaborated on that, blood. Islam is not a vampire-friendly religion, so Twilight Saga need not apply. Number 5, all intoxicants, even in small quantity, Muslims do not drink. What about this issue, no pork, no lard? You know, what's the big deal, my Muslim friend? Can't you see the sign? It clearly says no pork, no lard. Why won't you eat there? Well, because of 3 and 4. Even if it's chicken or beef, it may not have been slaughtered in the Islamic way. Its life wasn't taken in the name of God. It was probably just the result of an assembly line production. Number 5, sometimes people cook with alcohol, so Muslims would tend to avoid that as well. Muslim greetings. When Muslims greet each other, we say Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. How do you say that, Sister Nora? In Japanese? Peace be unto you.
Just we want to translate. Hello, Anatani. Heiwa means peace. Heiwa o Anatani. Anatani means unto you.
Peace be unto you. The response is Wa alaikum salam, and unto you peace. So let us try that on the count of 3, you guys. You can do this, I know. We've been fasting all day. So 1, 2, 3. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Very, very good. It's a very beautiful greeting. Peace. It's literally a prayer. I wish peace upon you, your family, your life. Shaking of hands. For observant Muslims, it's only between people of similar gender. So gentlemen, if you go to shake a lady's hand and she doesn't shake your hand, don't take offense to that. Don't think, oh, why, I didn't wear deodorant today, or I'm not clean, or I'm not a believer. No, it doesn't mean that. And vice versa. If the ladies go to shake the men's hand, between men and men, no problem. Between ladies and ladies, no problem. What's being said here is an etiquette that's saying, if I am not your husband or wife, what right do I have even so much as to touch you? It's not done out of disrespect, it is done out of respect. Now, what is Ramadan? I want to talk about its significance, who fasts, what is it, the typical Ramadan activities, as well as the Eid al-Fitr, marking the end of the month of Ramadan. Now, Ramadan comes from an Arabic word, ar-Rahmad, which means dryness or heat, and it begins in the 9th month of the lunar calendar. Now here it is important to note that in general, the Chinese, the Hindus, the Jews, and the Muslims all use a lunar calendar as opposed to a solar or the Gregorian calendar. It begins in the 9th month at the sighting of the new moon, and this will give you an idea of the new moon. It is basically this sliver that you can see of light. And once they sight that, the following day will actually begin the fasting for us. The importance of Ramadan. It is a month in which we believe that the holy angel Gabriel gave the Quran to the Holy Prophet Muhammad. It is a month of increased fasting, prayer, and repentance. It is a month in which we believe every good thing we do in this month is spiritually multiplied. If you go to the moon, you can jump higher because there is less gravity. Muslims believe that the month of Ramadan has more spiritual gravity, has more spiritual weight. So therefore, anything you do, simply just smiling at somebody, it actually has more spiritual weight in it in this month, and you will get blessed accordingly as well. It ends with the festival of Eid al-Fitr, the celebration of returning to the state of purity, which is a day of jubilation and gratitude. What is it? From the physical aspect, we abstain from food and drink and intimacy between marital couples. It can last anywhere between 12 to 17 hours, depending upon where you are. The spiritual aspect is to refrain from blameworthy thoughts, foul language, hurtful behavior. The idea is really for us to learn how to master and control ourselves. Who fast? All Muslims fast except for children, those who are medically or physically unfit, maybe mentally unfit. Those elderly people do not need to fast, or anyone who has or is a traveler. Even if they're physically strong, they're going to the Olympics right now, they're exempt from fasting. They can make it up on other days. Why do Muslims fast? The entire idea of fasting is to gain consciousness of God. In Arabic, the term is taqwa. Like, for example, what do we mean by that? So I go to eat. Oh, I'm fasting. But why am I fasting? I'm doing this so I can gain proximity to the divine. Anytime you invoke or you remember the Creator, you're gaining proximity to the divine. It aids an increase in faith and sincerity and humility. It helps to improve your character, and it trains us to do praiseworthy acts, kindness, to have patience and forgiveness. I mean, much of life's lessons is really about endurance and patience. You know, putting up with your child when they're screaming in the middle of the night, or your husband is nagging at you, or your wife, or your colleague, or this deadline is due, or this person on the train and they're pushing you and it's crowded. It really comes down to how much can you endure and how patient are you going to be. Really, most of life's challenges really come down to those two things. So this month of Ramadan helps to train us in that. Other physical aspects include lowering of blood sugar, cholesterol, and systolic blood pressure. It actually improves in strength, endurance, and self-discipline. In the United States, there is a basketball team called the Houston Rockets, and one of the men on the team was called Hakeem Olajuwon. His opponent said, we always feared to play him in the month of Ramadan because he just had a sudden amount of energy. They just didn't know where this came from. This guy is running up and down the court, scoring 45 points a night. Amazing. Other physical objectives. This is looking very good to me right now. You guys are watching, Allah is watching. So in today's life, you know, we get these very sumptuous meals and banquets, right? And we enjoy it very much. I know I do. And it's very easy for us to enjoy this when many times we forget about them. And who do we mean? We forget about our brothers and sisters in humanity. You know, how many times do we complain the food was too salty, it was too hot, it's not to my liking, it was not here on time. But what do you think if they were given food right now? Would they complain? Would they be choosy? Today when we wake up in Singapore, we did not ask the question, am I going to eat today? When we woke up in Singapore, we asked, what am I going to eat? We actually have choice. So in this month of Ramadan, when you feel that hunger pangs and you feel that dryness in your throat, you feel what these people feel in humanity. So we ask, please remember them as well. The typical activities during Ramadan. There is a meal before the dawn. We're not just going in on nothing. So you get up early in the morning, you have some porridge, some dates. This helps to hold you over for the fast ahead. Breaking the fast at sunset, sharing food with the neighbors, relatives, and the poor, optional prayers at the early night, and increased reading of the Quran in the free time, and optional late night prayers in the last 10 days. The last 10 days has a particular day we call Laylat al-Qadr, or the night of power, in which we believe that night is better than, I forget the exact quotation, better than 1,000 months. Anybody? Better than 1,000 months. So that means that we really want to spend that entire time doing as much prayers as possible. Now here's the thing. Nobody knows what day Laylat al-Qadr lies on. We know it's the last 10 days, but we don't know which one. Why is that? Because if everyone knew the specific day, they would all be rushing to do the good things just on that day. So there is a wisdom in that, and something to be carried over from Ramadan. Breaking a fast with dates, it's because the noble Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he broke his fast with dates. So we follow that example. It said he used an odd number, maybe 1 or 3 or 5, and some water. They're also high in nutritional value. They provide much needed fiber and sugar to the body immediately to help alleviate the fasting. Greetings in Ramadan. When Muslims greet each other, we say Ramadan Mubarak, blessed Ramadan, and it is a very nice way to cross into a new culture. Or we also say Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan is generous. If invited to share iftar, as all of you have been, please do try to make it. It would be fun. So with that said, guidelines for visiting the mosque on other days, as well as the mailing address for the Sultan Mosque, my personal email address, as well as the number and email for the Majlis Ugama Islam Singapore. I am not a scholar and I'm not an academic in Islam, so if you have any comments or questions that I cannot address, I would refer it to those people who are. With that said, thank you so very much for your attentiveness. May God bless all of you and bless the great nation of Singapore. Thank you. Life after death. What was the comment or the question again? What?
Reincarnation. Because it says that you believe in after death there is a life.
Yes.
How the Muslim interpret this? Because I have heard from Sultan that they say that they don't believe like Hindu believe in reincarnation.
Yes.
Heaven or hell, they don't believe. But they believe. So can you elaborate on that? Through a Muslim.
There could be, the auntie is saying that she had heard from some Muslims that they do not believe in reincarnation, and also they do not believe in heaven and hell.
Yes.
Now there could be some miscommunication there, because all Muslims, to my knowledge, do believe in a next life there will be a heaven and a hell. There may have been some misunderstanding. But it is correct that Muslims do not believe in reincarnation. That means we do not believe that after this life, we would actually reincarnate into another form in another new life. So that is where there will be a difference between us and the Hindu tradition.
How the heaven and hell comes in Muslim philosophy.
In the Muslim philosophy, you have a beginning and then an ending, a birth and the death. And then what happens is this whole of the life is a test. This whole life actually determines what place we will spend eternity in the next life.
So it means that they believe that after death there's a life, right?
Yes, there is a life.
But many Muslims, they say no, it's not like that. The Hindus are different, they believe in infinity. Whatever we do here, we are not going to suffer, or we are not going to have a pleasure or heaven or something.
Yes.
Then I don't understand.
I mean,
It's a contradictory statement.
I cannot speak on behalf of any Muslims who say they don't believe in a next life. I do not know about that. I mean, that's individual.
Yeah, that's why I want to know actually what the Quran say exactly. There is a life after death or not?
You wanted to, anybody make any comment? Was it?
I can try to explain to you. Sorry, my name is Salim. So basically what happened in Islam, what we believe that every individual human being has a soul. And this soul during your lifetime will be accountable. It's collecting data. So we believe that in the hereafter, and God says that there has to be justice for everyone. So there are some human beings in this life may commit crime, and they may not be punished out of it.
In this life?
In this life.
Okay.
And that's why Muslims believe there must be a certain stage, later afterlife, where justice has to be decided to hold the souls that existed. Because according to Islamic belief is that God created human beings for a purpose. In this life, practically everything has a purpose. Water, insects, everything has a purpose. And human being also has to be a purpose. Human being is the most complex creature of all the creations. So you can see everything, water, trees, plants, everything has a purpose. So the soul also has a purpose. And that purpose is to worship. So because you are worshiping to Creator, and you cannot meet now to see whether this worshiping is correct or not. And that's why there has to be a stage later after death, where God will come to us or will meet, and then it will be assessed. That's why we have a soul.
How they will come back? In the human form or in
It's just like, for example, I take a seed of maize, dead. I can take a maize to dead, I can plant it, with rain it can come, same. So the same thing, the way you are, God will take your soul, and then He will bring you back. So the thing why we don't believe in incarnation, for example, myself, let's say I say in the previous life, I was a dog. So if there's anything called reincarnation, then I should have been brought to that life. Why should I be brought to this life as a human being and cause so many havoc to people? To the people of this generation, what they do to deserve me?
So it means the last but we were not the dog or something, we were human.
Just if I plant a maize today, it won't come a banana, will it? Exactly. If I plant a banana, it cannot come a human being. If there was a reincarnation, then even today, tomorrow we wake up like a pig. If there was something like that, yes. So practically this thing doesn't exist. And God says that He will give signs, He will give examples so that we can use them in the generation and see what's waiting ahead of us. And this example He gave, if there was anything that can be turned into...
There will be some state, if we done the wrong here or crime here, there will be some state the soul has to look. I mean that God is going to punish or something like that, is it?
God will judge. Only God can make judgment. So whether He's going to punish or to put He'll make judgment. But that's why we have to wait. We die. We have to die first. We have to die first. Maybe me first or you, I don't know. But we have to die. Exactly. We have to die first. And what me and you we have is the soul. We have. So for example, myself, and I don't like to reveal that, but I have to tell people, I'm about 86 kilograms. If I were to drop dead now, and if my brother here weigh me again, you'll see my weight will have dropped. And that is a sign that something from the body was taken out. And who did that? God. And why He took it now is because you are going to be buried or cremated or whatever, so He will have that soul. He don't need your body, He just have the soul with you. Because nowadays in modern technology, we have like a GPS, you know GPS? So I can trace you where you are. Or we have the microchip, so I can put microchip in an animal and I can collect all the data, wherever it goes, correct? Exactly, that's why God gives you a soul, and nobody can know where it is, and He will get that data. And my brother was saying that, especially Ramadan, you cannot hide from God, whether in private or public, wherever you do, the soul is collecting data.
Not only in Ramadan, I think all the time.
Yes, you know there are people who commit crime, and they want to escape punishment, and they commit suicide. Have you heard of that? Yes. So they kill someone, when they are arrested, they commit suicide. Yeah. So what happened to them? To those people who committed. That's why this judgment. That's why that soul, God will take it, and when he dies, he will say, okay, you kill yourself, but my friend, I have your soul here, and I have all the record, and I'm going to punish you. That's why. Are you satisfied? Yes. Thank you.
So should I just pass the mic to Salim for the rest of the... You did an excellent job, mashallah. Any other comments or questions about anything regarding the history of the mosque, anything about the architecture, or anything about Islam and Muslims that you would like to know? And please feel free. I mean, as we mentioned, we may not necessarily have the answer, but now is the time to ask anything. Belinda, you're very quiet over there. In self-reflection, huh? Yes, sir.
What about the Muslim up north from
I asked him to ask this during because we mentioned that Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset, from 12 to 17 hours. But what happens if you are in the very north of Sweden or the very north of Alaska? In fact, there are places where there are 6 months of darkness and 6 months of light. That's going to be a very long fast, or maybe no fast at all. So in Islam, there's also a principle called qiyas, or analogy. So what they do is, for example, the Quran, it won't say, don't do heroin or don't do cocaine. These drugs were not actually in vogue at that time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But Islam does teach in the Quran and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad for us not to drink alcohol, for us actually not to take some intoxicants. So through the principle of qiyas or analogy, these things, heroin and cocaine, would also be forbidden to us as Muslims. So by using that, what they do is they take the nearest time zone that actually does have a 24-hour period, and it becomes applicable to that particular region. The whole idea is to actually experience the fasting itself, not to take a lot of people don't take the spirit of the law, but the letter of the law, right? They're too literal in that. So this is how they solve that particular issue. Was that clear? Any other comments or questions about?
Yeah, I'm just interested in the architecture a little bit, about that there's no icons in the mosque, etc. No religious icons, but there is quite varying beauty in mosques, and some are very extremely simple, as some of the ones that we've shown, and Abu Dhabi, for example, is really elaborate. So what is it? Just the local community that's driving that? Is there anything behind?
The gentleman is commenting upon the mosques do not have, we discussed earlier, no pictures, images, idols, and icons, but they are still very beautiful inside. And then what actually determines how elaborate a mosque may be built? There are a few factors. The local culture will determine the aesthetics and the taste, so it gets filtered through the local culture. And this is true for many, many things. For example, even in the way that the Muslims dress, the Malay Muslims will dress in a way distinct from Indian Muslims, or the Arab Muslims in particular. So the same reigns true for the architecture as well. And I guess it would also depend in terms of the affordability. I mean, someone who's building a mosque from mud brick as compared to the Sheikh Zayed Mosque. But the idea really is to have a mosque in which is very serene, very tranquil. There should just be the focus upon the divine, very little to no distractions within the mosque. Yes, sir?
Why do you have to put off your shoes?
Very good question. Did you see the quote that I put up? Also, this is from the Bible, where God was saying to Moses and Aaron, remove the sandals from your feet. The place that you are standing on is holy ground. And I've observed here in Singapore, many people, even before going in their homes, they will actually take off their shoes before going inside. So the idea is, we have no idea to know where you have and what you might have been tracking in. You're now going into a place that is holy and clean. People are taking their foreheads and putting them down to the ground, so that serves a very practical purpose. It's also a symbol of humility. In many ancient cultures, even if someone wanted to go and ask somebody's hand, their daughter's hand in marriage, the man would actually come wearing his sandals or his shoes as a symbol of humility. Most welcome. You want to help her? My very first cell phone in the United States, true story, I took it and I threw it in a bridge in Appleton, Wisconsin. So if anybody wants a free cell phone, you just need some scuba diving gear. I thought it was very annoying, to be contactable at all times, so I just took it and threw it. Any other further comments or questions before we proceed for the guided mosque tour? Yes, sir?
Maybe for our curiosity, I'd like to know, in the event of a death, why must the burial be done on the same day? What's the significance?
I'm not sure. Maybe I will also ask if someone wants to elaborate why on that day. But it is said in Islam that to be hasty is actually from the devil, to do things in haste, except for a few things. If two people have feelings for each other, you should be quick to marry them. If there are people who committed sin, they should be quick to repent. If you hear the call to prayer, you should be quick to respond. If you owe a debt, you should be quick to repay it. And if someone dies, you should be quick to bury them. So these things you should try to do in haste or quickly, or there could be repercussions. But why on that particular day, I don't know if there's a deeper meaning or significance to that, other than this has been the practice given to us by our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, until today. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, any other comments, questions? You know what's going to happen is when you leave here, you're going to say, why didn't I ask this? That's usually what happens. But you also have the docents too when you go into the mosque for the guided mosque tour. Yes, sir?
For concerning heaven and hell, if you do bad things in life, then probably you go to hell in this life. And is it like the same for Christians? You can say for in your last moments you can pray for forgiveness, and you will be forgiven. And isn't there a similar thing for the Islam people, that when you have to do bad things, can you pray for forgiveness?
I will use an anecdote or a story. And there's this guy who said he killed 33 people. And he went to the priest and he said, am I going to get to heaven? I killed 33 people. And the story says the priest said, no, you killed 33 people. So he kills the priest and kills 33 more. So now he's killed in total 67. So then he goes to the rabbi, and then he asks the rabbi, am I going to go to heaven? He says, no, you've killed 67 people. So he kills him and kills another 33 more. So then he goes to the imam of the mosque. And the mosque said, the problem is that you've been in an area where people have been encouraging you and calling you to do bad ever since you were in a very young age. You must now migrate from this state to a place where people will encourage you to do good and call you to do good. So on the way from going to point A to point B, he dies. He doesn't actually get to reach that particular destination. So the angel comes to claim his soul, Satan comes to claim his soul. So then what they do is they say, look, we'll measure the distance. If he was closer to the city of the bad, then Satan says, I'll take his soul. And the angel says, if he's closer to the city of the good, I'll take his soul. So what they did was they measured, and he was actually close to the city of the bad, but God changed the distance. And he actually went to heaven. So this was niyyah, or intention. In Islam, the single most important thing behind everything we do is niyyah, is intention. I come to offer you a hot cup of coffee, I fall, I burn you. The action came out wrong, but the intention behind my action was good. Or maybe I get married to this woman. Everyone is very happy, but in reality, her father is a very wealthy man. I'm just after the wealth. So what happens is, it looks good on the outside, but my intention might be sinister. So ultimately, God looks at our intentions, not the actions that follow. And we believe in Islam that the Creator is very, very merciful. Every chapter in the Quran will begin, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Maybe we will stop now so you guys can go for the guided mosque tour. Thank you so very much. Once again, you've been a really excellent audience. Thank you. What we have coming up is our open house weekends. So during that time, we organize people who do henna for the ladies. We actually have people who wear the traditional Islamic attire. Ladies will show you how they do the different scarves that they wear. Okay. There's a person who will do the writing your name in Arabic. He's a calligrapher. And we also do the demonstration of the prayer in the mosque. Wow. We have a table of books that we lay out. So I wanted to let you know on all of that. And also to let you know it stopped raining outside. My friend Mohammed Bouali from Algeria, he said, "You're welcome to come to my house and stay as long as you want, but the bus leaves at 10:30."
Thank you very, very much for accommodating us and for taking us. It's been really enjoyable again.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We really enjoy.
Yes, and we will go now since the rain has stopped.